Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. It has been a while and I'm not too sure how to really start the video or how to talk about everything that I want to talk about today. But we're just gonna do with what we can. I've been gone because my grandmother was hospitalized and she did end up passing. Now, my grandmother was 102 years old, so we've been mentally preparing ourselves that she would pass for a while now. And that's why I've been going to France so many times. Instead of going home to the US for my vacations, I've been going to France every time, knowing that every time I go see her, that this could be the last goodbye. And summer basically did end up being the last goodbye to go see her. So I mean, mentally we've been prepared for this, but no matter how you prepare for something, it's especially for something like this, you never know how you're going to react. And I'm a very sensitive person, especially since there's the added part where because I am single, and all my family is not in Japan where I am, I always have to, I have to deal with these kind of things by myself. And because I've been single for so long, basically every major life event lately, I've had to deal with it myself. And it's hard, it's very difficult, because I go home and I don't have anyone there to give me any sort of emotional support. So I've just been doing what everybody else does. I think just Instagramming, like looking at Instagram all the time, just trying to calm the brain. So it's not good, but for me, because I don't have that emotional support here in Japan, that's pretty much the only thing I can do. So I haven't been doing anything but just scrolling on Instagram and then watching movies. I have been watching a lot of movies. But like the additional thing is also the fact that I injured myself climbing, I think at the beginning of April now. And I basically injured the ulnar nerve, which is the nerve that connects your elbow to your little finger and your pinky finger and your ring finger. And I did that on my left hand. And so a nerve injury is terrible because those very often are not healable, and they will become aggravated every time you re-injure it. However, because it was a minor injury and it's the first time I injure it, like right now it could heal if I'm careful. So that means I had to stop climbing, and then I had to pull way back on my violin practicing. So this is devastating for the violin. So it sucks. So like with my grandmother passing, that was another thing that usually I would have to fall back on. I would have my violin I could fall back on. I could have my climbing I could fall back on, especially with climbing. Climbing is so social. I have a lot of friends I can do that with. And I was climbing, 3 to 4 times a week. And so having that social aspect gone and having, something to focus on, like the violin, really just made the situation worse. It just made me not know what to do. Because especially since I'm much better when I'm active. I'm a very social person. Most readers tend to be considered as introverts, but I am not. I'm definitely an extrovert. I like being surrounded by people. If I could be surrounded by people 24/7 and never had to read again, I would be perfectly fine with that, because for me, human interaction is just very important. It just makes sense that that's what we should be doing. So yeah, so that's why I've been gone, and that's just why I've been gone. I tried filming some videos in the meantime, but I just, like I said, I didn't have the energy, I didn't have the motivation. Whenever I tried, it just never really worked. It didn't feel right. So that's why I haven't had the March wrap up. That's why I didn't do there was the video I wanted to talk to you guys about my major discovery in 2026, like the author that I'm absolutely obsessed with, and I still will do those things at a certain point. But I thought today's video would be an easy way for me to ease in, because I'm going to talk to you guys about sort of where I left off with my reading and where I'm at right now and where I want to go with my reading. So right now I am in the middle of Golden Week. Golden Week is a term we use here in Japan for in the very beginning of the month of April, and sometimes like the end of beginning of the month of May, and sometimes at the very end of April, there are 4 federal holidays that hit all at once, and they're connected oftentimes, and so it's a huge moment in Japan for people to just go on vacation. So this time the federal holiday was particularly great because there was a federal holiday on Wednesday, and then the next 3 federal holidays fall on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So you could take the Thursday and Friday off of both sides of the week, and you could have like a 12-day holiday if you wanted to do that. So it's super, super major. I originally had plans for Golden Week, but those plans, I have friends that if I don't plan everything, nothing happens, and I just ended up never making those plans. I initially planned on doing some domestic traveling to, I was planning on going to the Ogasawara Islands, particularly Chichijima and Hahajima, which are islands that are technically, it's interesting, they're actually part of Tokyo Prefecture, but the only way to access them is via a 24-hour ferry, like a boat. That's the only way you can access them. So it's one of those things where, like, if you go to those islands, you actually need to take a week because of the timing of the ferries, and just the limited access forces you already to lose 2 days just to travel, 2 full 24-hour periods just to travel. So it was something I had mentioned to my friends I wanted to do back in like October, but then I had to plan the end of the year travel with my mom, and then I had to plan our ski trip, because again, if I don't plan the ski trip, nothing happens. So it was just a lot, and I was getting tired of planning things, so it just never ended up happening. My work does actually give us extra holidays, because they always say, you guys work so hard, we want you guys to have more holidays. So I have the first Thursday, Friday off. So I have like 9, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 8 days of holiday, and then I'll go back to work next Thursday, or the Thursday of the week that you see this video. But I just have no plans. Nothing's happening. It's already Friday when I'm filming this, so Wednesday I ended up having lunch and walking around with a friend of mine, and then a friend of hers that she invited, who was very, very nice to talk to. I'm really glad she invited him. And then yesterday, because regular people are still at work, but I was off, I took that opportunity to take care of going around and grabbing all the documentation I need for my permanent residency application, where permanent residency in Japan is basically the equivalent of having your green card in the US. So I've decided to finally do my PR application, because the new prime minister is quite aggressive against foreigners here quite aggressive in policy for foreigners here in Japan. And so a lot of us are making the rush to get our PRs, because she's like quadrupling, not even that, not quadruple, let's see. PR application fees up to now were, I think, 8,000 yen, and she's bumping that up to 200,000 yen. So what was the equivalent of $80 she's bumping it up to $2,000. So it's not like I can't afford that, but you know, between paying 80 and 2,000, obviously I want to pay the 80. So a lot of us are rushing to get our PR before that takes all those new policies go into effect, and before she changes anything else to make the process more difficult. So yesterday, I made the rounds and went to the prefectural office. I had to go to the pension office, and then I had to go to the tax office. And it actually only took me 2 hours, because the one benefit of being single in Japan and aiming for your PR is that the documentation is very, very easy. Also, the benefit that I've been with the same company this entire time. So I had no hiccups. I got everything done in 2 hours. It was very easy. The only thing I have to do now is write my little essay, and then I can go to the immigration office post Golden Week to send all of that off. So yeah, I'm very lucky that my PR application was quite easy. Some people have it much more difficult. So yeah, that's the life update of everything I've been doing. But yeah, so Wednesday and Thursday have already gone past. Friday right now, it's like 3 p.m. It was super gloomy. It's been raining. The weather's been awful, absolutely awful. Finally seeing blue skies. So I would like to make an effort to go a little bit outside and not just rot in my apartment like I have been doing. But so here's the thing. So it's Friday afternoon. I still have Friday evening, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So I have like 5 full days and then 1 like half day, whatever remains of today. And because I'm not doing anything, I wanted to treat this Golden Week kind of like when I go on my beach vacation. So typically towards the end of the vacation period, so like my vacation days renew in June. So usually as June approaches, I have some remaining vacation days, like 4 or 5 days. And up till now, typically I've been using them to go to the beach, to just have a beach vacation by myself where no one bothers me and I just read like a book every day. This year I'm not doing that because my family kind of needs me back in the US, so I will be going back to the US instead. So for this Golden Week, I'm going to try and do what I usually do on those beach vacations. Now, the weather's not great, and I'm not on the beach, so it'll make things more difficult, especially since I'm not good about reading in my home. So, but hopefully maybe having a goal like this will help me out. So I wanted to build a TBR of books that I could try and get through during this Golden Week period. So let me tell you, well, you know what, let me tell you first what I left off, what I was reading when I before I got sad and couldn't do anything anymore. I was reading Comanche Moon by Leary McMurtry. I was very happy about what I was reading. I was on page 85 when I left off. This book was absolutely gorgeous. I do want to get back to this, but it was not the time to reading it. So I did put this down. And then I had tried starting the new Jim Crow, Mass Incarceration in the Age of Colorblindness by Michelle Alexander. I'm super excited about reading this, but again, this is just not the time. So I read about, I read the introduction, and then I started reading a little bit of chapter 1. All of this is like preface stuff that I'll read once I'm done with the book, but just not the time to be reading this. So I did put this down as well. And then the other book I was reading, Madame Bovary by Flaubert. This one actually is still progressing because, sorry, I'm just looking at the sun damage. You can see like the line right here, just because this bookcase actually gets more sun than I thought I did. So I've been getting like sun damage. But anyway, this one is actually has been my at work read. So this actually has been progressing. I'm on the part 3 of the book. And so I should be actually finishing this the week I come back to work, because I actually don't have that much left of it. So this was still progressing, but everything else, I abandoned and was trying to read. There's another book I was reading that I'd started was Soudain j'ai entendu la voix de l'eau. Suddenly I heard the voice from the water by Kawakami Hiromi, where the original title is Suisei. So this book is a Japanese book translated into the French, and this is an author that surprisingly I have, well, no, actually not surprisingly, it's just a book I had never, an author I just hadn't picked up yet. But this, she was an Akutagawa Prize winner, and I own her Akutagawa Prize winning book in Japanese. But I thought I would start with this. But to be honest, I'm really bored with this. I don't think it's that good. I'm page 116 out of 250, pretty much almost halfway through. And this is a struggle. I might just DNF it entirely because I haven't been like, I don't think this has been a situation type, like bored because of my mental status. I think it's just a boring book in general, so I'll probably abandon this. But that's where I was when everything was happening and whatnot. Now, last Sunday, I had gone to this Buddhist temple. It's quite out in the outskirts. Technically, it's part of Tokyo, but it still took 2 hours to get there because you have to take a long train because it's really out of the way. It's like at the outskirts of Tokyo, and then you have to take a bus. And I went there to go see the azaleas because the azaleas are blooming right now, and it's really famous for the azaleas, and it was absolutely gorgeous. I did a mini vlog of me going there. Maybe I'll still post it. I don't know. Again, like I said, I've been trying to film things, but it's just not been very, very exciting. But so we'll see if I post that. But it was really, really gorgeous. And the thing is that I had, again, 2 hours there, 2 hours back of transportation time. And typically I read very well on the train. So I had decided to not read this on that train, not to bring it because I've been bored with this and I thought it'd be a waste. And instead I picked up this book, Six Fourmis Blanches, 6 White Ants by Sandrine Colette. Because she kind of writes like more on the thriller side. Her books are much more page turning, but they're quite, they still have a little bit of, I don't want to say they're still an intellectual property to them, but there's definitely a little bit of elevation that for me makes it a little bit more interesting. And this was a good idea. I read 150 pages that day just because I had so much. It was just, I was pulled into it, and it was really easy to read just with the white noise that comes when you ride a train. So since then, I've only made 100 extra pages of progress, but I'm only 60 pages from the end, so I could finish this in one reading if I just stick with it. So that's my goal for today, for Friday, to finish this book. Okay. Oh, like I said, this video is kind of all over the place, but this is on my TBR to finish for today for Golden Week. This is also in front of my face. I just realized I forgot to mention another thing I abandoned when I got sad was I had started reading a new soccer manga. This is Sayonara Watashi no Kurama. And it's a girls soccer manga. So I was excited about this because I've been really curious about girls manga since up to now I've only read manga with men or like boys teams. But I totally forgot I was reading this in my sadness. So this has been on the back burner as well. Like I only have 5 minutes of reading left in this book, and I just never finished it. So this is on the back burner. I'll have to come back to it later. And I feel a sneeze coming on. But okay. All right, so let's get into like my TBR and what I think I want to do. So again, finish that book that I just mentioned, and currently right now on my online on the online reading website that I'm part of called Library Thing. I'm not on Goodreads, I'm not on the other ones, but I'm on Library Thing, and I love Library Thing, and I've always been part of it. I've been there for a very long time. I'm part of a community, and we this quarter, the second quarter of the year, is the theme that we are going for is francophone reading. So any book written in French, but not limited to France, as long as it's a francophone country. And I kind of wanted to kind of go through the books on my pile that have always been interested in, but because I tend to focus more on France when it comes to francophone countries, I just never get to these. So there are a few books here that I could get to this Golden Week that I could either start reading, try reading. Some I could get through in a day, I think. It just really depends. So let me tell you what those are. Starting off with Le Crime du Comte Neuville, Count Neville's Crime by Amélie Nothomb. Amélie Nothomb is an author I've read many books from. I think I've up to like 27 books of hers now I've read. She is definitely a read in an hour type of author. I used to love her, but I think with the last 3 books, I was getting kind of tired of her. And the last book I read by her, I said, I think I'm done reading her books. She publishes 1 a year. But I said, I think I'm done reading her, but I still have 2 more of her books on my TBR pile. So I think once I finish those, I won't buy any more. So this is one of those books. I think it's only 150 pages. I think it's going to be perfect for my mental state because her books are very easy to read. Sometimes they have some humor that can be quite delightful. Some dark satire, some good wordplay. So I think this would be a good one to have in my Golden Week TBR. So this one's quite realistic that I read. Then this one, Golden Week, it's longer, it's 360 pages, and the text is kind of small, so I don't see it as a book I could finish. But in the month of April, it's either April or May, we are doing a group read where we read a novel by Marguerite Yourcenar, who is a French author that I've actually never read before, but I'm very curious to read. And this book, which I don't know the title in English because it's not a direct translation of the French title, it's an entirely different title they go with, but I am supposed to be reading this either in April or May. I have to confirm which month it was, but it might be a good idea for me to start this book so I can get to it. After that, I'm kind of just up to anything. There's this book where I don't remember what it's about because it's a copy. So it's the old mass market paperbacks from the 60s that don't have any blurbs on them. And it's one of those books I picked up for €1 at a flea market. But the title was so good. It's Les Saints vont en enfer, so Saints Go to Hell, by Gilbert Cisbron. And just from the title, Saints Go to Hell, it sounded really, really good. I want to say it's a World War I book, but I don't know. I have no idea. But this book definitely intrigues me. And I like the idea of reading someone like that as an author I don't know. I know nothing about. It was a total just cover and title buy at the flea market. So I like the idea of just discovering something entirely new. Then we have a very classic in the French world that is Le Nœud de Vipère, which means the Viper's Nest, by François Mauriac. I don't remember what this is about. Most of these books I don't remember what they're about, but this is a classic in France that everyone pretty much reads in school. It's kind of like reading The Great Gatsby, or reading, what's that really annoying book with main character Holden Caulfield? Catcher in the Rye. Now you know how I feel about that book. Yeah, it's kind of like reading Catcher in the Rye in school. Everyone's pretty much read this. And it's a book. François Mauriac, again, it's an author I've never read, and I am trying to catch up with my cousins with what they've read in school growing up, since I didn't grow up in France. So this is potential. Then my mom had, when we saw this at the flea market, she told me, we have to get this one because you need to read it. It's Le Passage, The Passage, by Jean Reversy. And she told me that this is a gorgeous book, an absolutely gorgeous book. about a, let's see, I'm just going to translate the blurb as I go. At 40 years old, in realization of his upcoming death, Jean Reverzy, who was a doctor, writes about his return from Oceania in this book. So he was, my mom says it was a beautiful book about exploring the ideas of life and death, and the fact that it takes place in Polynesia sounds really, really delightful and wonderful and interesting and fascinating. So this book sounds quite interesting as well. So that's an option. This one's less of an option because I realize it's really big. Again, this font is really small. Yeah, the font is quite tiny and it is 650 pages, but that is Voyage au bout de la nuit by Céline. Very, very famous book. My mom, again, tells me I've always needed to read this. This one I don't see it's going to be in my Golden Week TBR, but for my Francophone TBR, it's a possibility it could happen. This one though, I really would love to read Le Chercheur d'Or, which is The Prospector by Luc Lizio. Luc Lizio is a book that is an author that I have so many cousins who hate this author, but I adore him. I think his writing is absolutely stunning and beautiful. The way he describes landscape and passages, and then the trials that his characters go through, and the mix of those two together are just absolutely stunning. And so I think this one could be really, really gorgeous. And this one, to go with the sort of Francophone theme, this doesn't take place, even though Luc Lizio is a French author, it doesn't take place in France. So it'll be interesting as well to get a setting that is not from mainland France. So this one's interesting. Another classic in the Francophone, not genre, but in the Francophone sphere is Texaco by Patrick Chamoiseau. This is so famous. My mom's been trying to get me to read this for over 20 years. This is gorgeous. I tried reading it once and I thought it was a little bit difficult for the mindset that I had at that time. I don't think this is gonna be a Golden Week read. Look at this blurb. Look how tiny the font is on this. It's ridiculous. The font's just so small. But Texaco takes place in Martinique. And this is just a classic of Martinique literature. So the idea of reading this would be fantastic, but not a Golden Week read for sure, because this is going to take a month for me to read. But for the Francophone kind of TBR, it'd be nice to read this finally. But an actual Golden Week possibility that I think, because it's short and I like for my beach. So as I said, I want to do my Golden Week TBR kind of like when I go on my beach vacations, which my beach vacations, I tend to expect myself reading a book a day, which is very possible for me. When I have nothing else to read, I'm actually very capable of reading a book a day. I just don't do it in real life. But this is L'Intérieur de la Nuit, the Interior of the Night by Leonora Miano. And this takes place in West Africa. And I don't know what this is about anymore, but this is also a classic. So many people in France have read this. So out of all these books, the books I think that are the most realistic for me to at least finish would be these three, along with finishing this one tonight. So I have these three on my TBR. I think I'm just going to aim for that for my TBR. This could happen. And then if I can do that, if I can at least start, because I do want to read this in the book of May, if I can start it, I'll be happy. So if I can start L'Œuvre Noire, I think this would be perfect. Oh my goodness, so happy with myself. Very, very, that'd be amazing. So that's kind of what I'm feeling. Also, the days are long, so I have one additional objective, but this one's less likely because I have not been so consistent about reading in Japanese. But I did pick up this book recently. I actually picked up 2 books recently that obviously you don't know about. Let me grab the other one real quick. So I really needed to buy some books to make myself happy. And this one I was definitely a must buy. When this was one of the nominees for the Akutagawa Prize, and I was obsessed with the idea of this one. First of all, this cover killed me when I first saw it. I'm like, what is this cover? It's so crazy. And this was before it was even nominated. It was I had already spotted this before it was ever even nominated, and I was tempted to buy it back then, and I should have, because as soon as the Akutagawa Prize was nominated and the winners were declared, it was impossible to find this book again. So when I did find it, I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna buy it. But this book is about a protagonist who kind of works in the equivalent of an Amazon warehouse, and he starts opening boxes that he shouldn't be opening, and things start to happen. So this is a book that, because it's a short, it's only 100 pages. I figured that during Golden Week, I'll read, if I could just read 10 pages a day, I won't finish the book, but it would get me halfway through. And if that could give me the motivation and the energy and the desire to continue reading in Japanese, that would be fantastic. So the goal with this one isn't necessarily to read it in 1 week, although typically I should be able to read it in a week. That's not the goal. The goal is just to implant the desire to read in Japanese again. So yeah, that's what I'm aiming. Let me show you the other book that I bought that very same day, because I saw this, and sorry, I keep playing with my hair because I don't know what to do with my hair lately. I haven't been happy with it. So I'm feeling I'm feeling whatever it is, ambivalent. But this is the other book I have to tell you. This is a nonfiction book. First of all, look at the presentation of this book. It's a yellow hardcover with this sort of like cover that doesn't cover the entire book. But I think it's just absolutely stunning. This is actually a reprint. I discovered it's a second edition of this book. But let me tell you what it is. This is a nonfiction book about a Japanese man who decides that he wants to discover the small towns of America, right? Like the towns that no one knows about. So we're not talking, so definitely not New York City, San Francisco, none of those big cities. We're not even talking about Austin size. We're not even talking about Waco size. We're not even talking about Bastrop kind of size. Like I'm naming cities I know in Texas. We're talking about like population 15, right? Population like 30. Population 50, like really like a below 100 kind of 100 people kind of population. And he goes across just middle America, and he just writes about his experiences. So he goes to South Dakota, to a city called Wall. He goes to a city called Springdale in New York. The city he chooses in Texas, where is it? Anthony, probably Anthony. He goes to that city. He goes to a city called Berzoni in Mississippi. So if you want to see these, if you can read Japanese, these are all the states and cities that he visits, or towns, I should say. And yeah, he just describes his experiences there. Now, I don't think it's going to go into any of the political nature of these Middletown America cities, as I do think Japanese authors tend to avoid talking about politics. But I think he'll just definitely go through just what a middle American kind of is, and how he sees it from a Japanese point of view. Like, what's his experience with that? So I just thought that was absolutely fascinating. And this is not a read I'm going to read right now, but it's a book I knew that I absolutely needed to get my hands on. And I'm super excited about reading at some point. But I wanted to just introduce that to you guys because it's absolutely killer. Like this is going to be so good. On the train after I read it, I had already read the introduction, the preface. And then I had read like little like 2 lines that kind of stood out. And I'm like, yep, that sounds about right. Yeah. So I am pretty excited about reading this, although it's not a now kind of moment. But yeah, that's the update. I'm sorry to share such, have to show you guys me in a sort of sad state of my life. But and I'm not promising, going back to a once a week schedule anytime soon. So we'll see how things go. But yeah, that's where we are. That's why I've been gone. That's what my reading has turned into, and that's kind of now we're gonna try and move forward, and we're going to try and regain that energy and regain the motivation and regain the sort of the sense of whimsy that I usually have. The weather's not helping. This is, like I said, today is the first time I see blue skies in a while. And I think the weather's changed. It was supposed to be like rainy and gloomy the entire Golden Week. Now it seems to be going back to blue skies. So hopefully that's what stays, because I definitely need to see blue skies. And then I'm just excited to not wear sweaters anymore. I'm from Texas. I need warm weather. I need heat. I need sun, and I need to be like a proper, like good weather before we hit into rainy season. Like if it's just rainy and then we hit rainy season on top of that, oh my gosh, I'm going to be miserable. I'm going to be so miserable. I guess I can update you on my injury for anyone who was like, oh, like what's going on? So the injury is doing better. Actually, just this morning I was like, wait a second, like I just realized like yesterday I had like no moment where I thought about it, and like even today I'm just like, oh yeah, like I injured myself. So I think like I have no more numbness in the pinky and my ring finger. Like the numbness went away about like a week and a half ago. Last week I was struggling like reaching my pinky towards my wrist. It felt like there'd be like a little pull of something here. It'd be like a little quick like electricity kind of twinge. And yeah, this morning I just realized that I don't feel anything like that. So that makes me very happy. Now my orchestra concert is not the weekend that you're seeing this video, but it is the following weekend that you see the video. So I do need to go back to practicing before that concert, because I have not been practicing for like a month. So I'm very, very like pulling the orchestra down. Like I feel really bad about that. And they don't even know. I haven't even told them that I was injured and that I haven't been practicing. So I'm sure they've noticed, and they're just like they're just too polite to say anything. Like, but yeah, I do need to practice. And so I am a little bit worried about the stress that's going to put on my hand. Obviously, I'm not going to force myself. If I feel like I'm hurting myself, I will stop. But if I don't feel the pressure or the pain, if I can do 30 to like 50 minutes, like start off at 30 minutes, and if I can make it to 50 minutes per day, I think that'd be great. And then once the concert's done, I can like relax again and like sort of take some time off again to really make sure the injury's okay. But I am feeling quite confident that I've been doing everything that's right to make sure that this injury heals the first time around, and that I'm not like going back to normal activity too quickly, where it would get to a point where like at this point you're just going to hurt yourself every single time, and then it's become a chronic like injury. Like I think I've done really, really well. I do need to do more like exercise kind of rehab. Right now I've just been doing rehab where like I just rest entirely, but I do need to start doing like actual like exercises and like strengthening to make sure I can still do the movements without re-pulling something. So that's where we are with the injury as well. So feeling better about it, but yeah. So now I think I'm going to get dressed finally. I am in I am kind of wearing a sweater because I'm wearing a shirt and no undergarments. So I need to get properly dressed, get out of these shorts, maybe walk outside for a little bit, enjoy the blue skies before nighttime comes in, and then I'll finish that book tonight. Right now I'm definitely in the climax. I just hit a bit of information that changes everything, where it's like, oh, because the thing about this book is like, so basically the plot is, to make this video go even longer, basically the plot is that you have two point of views going on in this book. So there's one point of view from our main a character called Lou, and she is in a group of hikers. They're amateurs, but they were able to be on this trip where they have a guide called Vigan, who is leading them through the mountains on a path, and then he'll bring them back, and it'll be a really great trip. So they're on that, but in the middle of their hike, the weather turns and they get stuck in a bad snowstorm, and everything just becomes chaotic. And then the other perspective is from a character called Matthias, and Matthias is a man who lives in this village who still believes in these superstitions of the mountains, and to sort of ease the spirits of the mountain, they do sacrifices. And so his job is to sacrifice goats to the mountain to celebrate a marriage or a baptism or a child's birth, or to appease the spirits when someone dies. And he gets into trouble himself when a local bad man tells him to take his nephew as a like protege. And so the book is sort of you wondering how these two perspectives like interact, like what's the relationship between those two, and how is the book going to end. So I just got to the point where I know what the interaction is between the two, and so now I can just go into the last climactic portion of the book, which is very exciting and makes books just speed right through, right? I'll be at the end in like so quickly, so I'm very excited about that, and I think that'll be a great way to start things off. So yeah, anyway, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being patient. Thanks to Joel for checking up on me, yeah, that's where we're at, and I will see you guys in my next video, whenever that is. All right, bye.